he's reluctant to talk about the title, but somewhere in the back of his mind, Coisty, I suspect he's still thinking, you know what? If Liverpool slip up, we're not so far behind the rest.
No, that's... But they're needing a slip up, Jeff. I'm looking at it.
Of course they are.
Dear me, they need a monumental crash. They're 12 points behind Liverpool, and Liverpool have got a game in hand. So if Liverpool go 15 points ahead with 16 games to go, straight away, that means Liverpool are going to have to lose 5, and Manchester City are going to have to win them. It's not happening, mate.
No,
it can't happen.
I can't see it happen either. Text here, Jeff, whatever you do, don't mention a great result for the mighty Leeds yesterday. Just keep it all Premiership. You need to be up a bit earlier in the morning, pal, because we talked about Leeds already. 6:45 was the time for that. And I'm sure we'll be talking about them again during the course of the rest of the season. After all, they are top of the pile. And by the way, they scored some great goals yesterday.
Didn't they just?
Oh, absolute quality goals. It was, a brilliant performance. But it'd be a massive test for them, if and when they go up. A massive test for them in the Premier League. We're seeing what's happening this season.
And the season before at home. That's where we are at this moment in time, Jeff. It's so difficult for the promoted sides.
It is indeed. Now, Shebahn is back with us. Hi again.
Hello again. So, Ange Postecoglou is trending on social media, I'd say, for all the wrong reasons after an interview after the defeat against Everton yesterday took a bit of a turn. So, just to give you the details, the journalist started the interview by saying to Ange, familiar story. What are your assessments of that performance, please? Postecoglou looks down as usual and kind of mutters and says, familiar story? Explaining his choice of words, the interviewer then says, well, in terms of defeat, and Ange says, yeah, okay, great way to start an interview, mate. Very, sarcastic about the whole thing. Jeff, would you be offended or would you have asked that question?
How is he meant to start? Is he meant to say, well done, Ange, only lost 3-2 at Everton, you've lost 5 of your last 6? He was accurate. It is a familiar story. They've lost 5 of the last 6. They have 1 point from 18. They're 15th in the table. Why would a reporter need to put a positive spin on that? I just think Ange's body language tells you that the pressure's getting to him. I mean, there's no eye contact. He looks at the ground. I don't know where the Ange who arrived in the Premier League has gone. I've got to be honest.
Well, Spurs was a good place to be when Ange arrived in the Premier League.
It was.
Not so much at the minute. Ange also snapped at our Sam Matterface a couple of weeks ago following the Newcastle result. He was going on about level playing fields and he really snapped at Sam Matterface, and I think it's something that we all went, oh, that wasn't really nice to hear. Sam, again, hadn't really said anything wrong. You're right. It is a very familiar story for where Spurs are at the minute, and he has to be accountable for that. And one thing I will say is that he can use this as an opportunity to speak to the media after the games, reassure fans, say something positive, maybe communicate effectively in that manner instead of looking at the ground and speaking down to people who are just doing their job. And I actually think if he doesn't get this right and he doesn't turn around his attitude to the press, then he will be on his way out quicker than he thinks.
I mean, I think the other issue he's got is that Spurs fans are giving Daniel Levy a lot of stick. We've got a text here saying, morning Jeff and Ali, Dan, the Spurs fans, let's look at the bigger picture. Daniel Levy is to blame for Tottenham's problems. All he cares about is money. He's destroyed Spurs and needs to sell up. But when Daniel Levy starts to get stick, who is he going to be looking at as being responsible?
Yeah,
and the answer is the manager.
I do. By the way, I'm Ange. I think he's a great manager. He does have to be given that injury grace, or does he have to make it work regardless?
Has to make it work.
Yeah,
everybody. I mean, I know they've got a lot of injuries. But he has to. Look at, we mentioned Bournemouth. 6 of their 7 outfield players on the bench haven't played a minute in the Premier League. They go to Newcastle, mind you, and win 4-1. Spurs, admittedly with injury problems, they go to Everton and lose. And they were flattered by 3-2. It could have been 5 or 6.
Yeah, exactly. The next 3 games, Ali, they're must-wins for Ange. Yeah, they've got Hoffenheim as well. Spurs are currently 9th in the Europa League table. They've got Leicester then, as you say, at home next Sunday, and then Elfsberg at home as well. So the next 3 are must-ins to keep him in that job, would you say?
Yeah. Look, let's take a quick call from a Spurs fan, shall we? I'd be interested to hear. David is a Spurs fan. Morning, David.
Morning, David.
Morning.
Morning, Coisty. Morning, Jeff. Morning, Shebahn. I just wanted to say, Spurs have done it again. They've broken another manager. You can just tell from Andy's body language that he's a broken man. He has absolutely no clue where to go. He hasn't been backed. And as Conte said, it's the story. 13 managers I've seen, right? And over the summer, they bought kids. They bought young kids. Instead of bringing ready players who would improve the squad, they invested in children, probably thinking that they would be able to sell them on in the future. It's a business. It's no longer a football club. It's a business. And we are where we are because of that board. Another broken manager, the story of Spurs.
David, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, David.
I tell you what, Coisty, good points, I think. A broken man, and he looks that way. But really interestingly, that they did buy young players.
Yeah.
They were buying for the future, or maybe to sell on in Archie Gray, for example, and Bergvall as well. So that's not the manager's fault, is it?
No, it's not the manager's fault. And incidentally, there've been two of the brighter lights in Tottenham's squad this year. I think it's well worth mentioning. But I think you could feel. I think David's point's a very, very good one, Jeff. Do you know what I mean? You look at Spurs, and what they need is players with experience to get right into that side and make them better. You don't need young men that are looking to make insteps into their career, particularly, and having to play them out of. It's not his own fault. It's not his fault they've got injured, but they're having to play certainly Archie Gray out of position. I think. I think David makes a really, really valid point. In terms of signing youngsters, it's great signing youngsters for the future and taking your time with them, giving them maybe half a dozen games, pulling them out, giving them another bit of experience. But Spurs are in no position to be doing that, Jeff.
Yeah.
They need players in their team that are going to make them better.
Shebahn, thank you very much indeed. I mean, there's a text here from somebody who says, I can't believe I've woken up and not heard yet that Postecoglou hasn't been sacked. Come on, Levy, sack him. Give Brentford whatever they want for Thomas Frank. I'll ask you, though, Spurs fans, Conte, Mourinho, Postecoglou, none of them could succeed. Who do you think is going to want to go to Tottenham under those circumstances? Thanks, Shebahn. Coming up, want to hear from you, United fans. Who's to blame for your worst start to a season at home in 131 years? Is Ruben Amorim right to say he won't change his style?
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.